Chosen one. What you're about to hear is not just another message. It's a divine call, a summons from the throne room of heaven itself. If this video found you today, it's because destiny has been circling this moment, waiting for you to awaken. You were never meant for a small life. You were never meant to blend into the background, to merely survive and call it living. You were designed to thrive, to overflow, to become a force so blessed, so unstoppable, that even the heavens would declare that one we chose, that one for greatness. Today is not ordinary. Today is a line in the sand, a before and after moment in your life. Everything you thought you knew about your future is about to expand. God has not called you to scraps. He has not prepared you for survival. He has anointed you for abundance, so unimaginable that only a chosen one could carry it. Your billionaire destiny isn't waiting in some distant future. It's already set in motion. Right now, the gears of divine favor are turning. Right now, the floodgates are creaking open. Right now, the heavens are leaning down to watch you rise. If something inside you has always whispered, "I was made for more," listen closely, because today God is not whispering anymore. He is announcing it. He is declaring it. He is commanding it over you. This is your moment. The shift is already happening, and if your spirit is awake, you can feel it too. Stay with me until the very end. Chosen one. What's waiting for you isn't just a promise. It's a prophecy unfolding before your very eyes. Section 1. Why God chose you for billions. You were never random. You were never forgotten. Before you ever took your first breath, God looked across time and space, and with all the love of heaven, He chose you. Not just to survive life, but to transform it. To carry wealth so vast, so pure, so purpose-driven that it would heal nations and rewrite destinies. You're not chasing blessings. Blessings are chasing you. You're not struggling to find favor. Favor has already found you. And today, it's time you stop doubting why. God chose you for billions because He trusts you with influence. He trusts your heart to remain pure when your hands become full. He trusts your spirit to glorify Him when the world glorifies your success. That's why your calling is heavier. That's why your road felt lonelier. The greater the destiny, the greater the preparation. Think about David, a simple shepherd boy in the fields, ignored by men, but chosen by God. When Samuel came to anoint a new king, David wasn't even invited into the room. Yet God said, "Rise and anoint him. This is the one." 1 Samuel 16:12. Hidden from the spotlight, yet hand-picked to sit on the throne. You too have been hidden. You too have been overlooked. And yet heaven has had its eyes on you the entire time. The anointing was never about who noticed you. It was always about who sent you. Look also at Esther, a young orphan girl displaced in a foreign land, living with no grand title or influence. Yet God positioned her to become queen and save an entire nation. Esther wasn't crowned by accident. She was prepared for such a time as this. Esther 14. Your billions aren't an accident either. They are a weapon for a generation. And don't forget Joseph, betrayed by his own brothers, falsely accused, thrown into prison from the depths of injustice. God raised him up to oversee the wealth of Egypt. Not just for his survival, but for the survival of multitudes. Your wealth chosen. One isn't just about your comfort. It's about preservation, elevation, restoration. Even today, you can see echoes of this pattern. People like Howard Schultz, born in public housing, rose to build Starbucks, not merely because of ambition, but because destiny used him to create a global gathering place. Oprah Winfrey, once a girl in poverty, rose to power, not just to entertain, but to inspire and uplift millions. In both the Bible and our world today, the pattern is clear. God chooses the unlikely, the overlooked, the underestimated to display His unmatched glory. And here's the truth. They didn't climb into greatness alone. Divine hands lifted them. A divine plan orchestrated their steps, just like yours. Because you chosen one were not called to scratch for scraps or struggle for survival. You were called to overflow. But before you can fully step into the billion-dollar life prepared for you, you must confront and break free from the chains that have silently wrapped themselves around your mind. Let's talk about the hidden barriers holding back your divine billions. Section 2. Breaking free from old mindsets. Chosen one. What if I told you the real battle wasn't about money, but about mentality? Before billions can fill your hands, freedom must first flood your mind. No amount of opportunity can bless a spirit still chained to fear, doubt, or small thinking. This is why God is starting with your mind. Because old wineskins can't hold new wine, and old mindsets can't carry divine billions. Many carry hidden chains without even realizing it. The voice of limitation whispers, "You're not qualified." The voice of fear hisses, "It's too late for you." The voice of scarcity murmurs, "There's never enough." But none of those voices come from God. They are the fading echoes of a life you were never meant to live. Look at Gideon in this Bible. When the angel of the Lord appeared to him, Gideon was hiding threshing wheat in a wine press, shrinking back in fear. And yet heaven called him something completely different. Mighty warrior. Judges 6:12. God didn't speak to Gideon's situation. He spoke to his destiny. But Gideon almost missed it because his mind was stuck in survival mode instead of warrior mode. How many times have you done the same? Shrunk yourself to fit an environment God already destined you to outgrow. Settled for crumbs when you were called to sit at the feast. Think about the Israelites leaving Egypt. God had delivered them physically from bondage, but their minds were still trapped in slavery. It's why an entire generation died in the wilderness. They couldn't believe big enough to walk into the promised land. Chosen one. God isn't just delivering your finances. He's delivering your mind. Because billionaires don't think in limits. They think in abundance. They don't ask, "Can I afford it?" They ask, "How can I create it?" They don't fear problems. They create solutions. Even today, you see it, J.K. Rowling. Once a single mother, living on welfare, had every logical reason to stay small. But she chose to believe bigger. She wrote the first Harry Potter manuscript in coffee shops, fueled not by circumstance, but by a vision that pulled her beyond her present reality. Now she's one of the most successful authors in history. The difference. A mind that refused to bow to limitation. A heart that said, "There's more for me, and I'm not giving up until I find it." God is calling you into that same transformation. Not with hype, but with holiness. Not with empty ambition, but with sacred alignment. Because once your mind is free, the billions won't just come. They'll have no choice but to find you. And now that your spirit is waking up to this truth, it's time to unlock the most powerful weapon you have. The key that opens the floodgates of your billionaire destiny, living, moving, and acting by unstoppable faith. Let's go deeper. Section 3. Faith unlocks the billionaire door. Chosen one. Freedom of mind prepares the ground, but it is faith that opens the gates wide. Not wishful thinking, not blind optimism. True, raw, living faith. Faith that moves mountains, unlocks doors, and calls down wealth from unseen realms into visible reality. Faith is not a feeling. It's not just a prayer whispered into the night. It's a force, a decision to trust what God said, even when everything around you looks barren. Faith doesn't ask for permission from circumstances. It commands circumstances to shift. Look at Noah. When God told him to build an ark, there wasn't a cloud in the sky. No rain forecasted, no visible threat. And yet Noah obeyed in faith, and because he acted when there was no visible evidence, he preserved his future. Imagine if Noah had waited for raindrops before lifting a hammer, he would have missed the blessing completely. Your billionaire destiny works the same way. You don't wait until the money appears to act. You act because God has already declared the provision. You don't need to see the billions first. You step into the assignment first, and the billions will chase you down. Consider the widow at Zarephath. In a time of severe famine, she had only a handful of flour and a little oil left, enough for one final meal before death. Yet when Elijah asked her to bake him bread first, she obeyed by faith, and her resources never ran dry. Kings 17, 8-16. One act of faith turned her last meal into an endless supply. Your billions are connected to your obedience in the small acts of faith today. It might seem crazy to start that business now. It might seem risky to invest in that vision now. But crazy obedience is often the birthplace of divine overflow. In modern times, think of Walt Disney fired from a newspaper for lacking imagination, bankrupt more than once, mocked for dreaming of a theme park nobody would visit. Yet he kept building based on a vision that nobody else could see because he believed it before it ever existed. Today, the Disney empire is a multi-billion-dollar testament to the power of vision backed by relentless faith. God's promises are voice-activated. Heaven moves when you move. Faith isn't passive, it's aggressive. It steps out when there's no bridge, trusting that God will either build one or teach you how to fly. Right now, every time you dare to believe bigger, to act bolder, you are swinging wide the gates for your billionaire destiny to rush in. It's not a distant dream. It's a present transaction happening in the spirit, waiting for your faith to finalize it. But here's the deeper secret. Chosen one. Faith alone isn't the only ingredient. There's something even greater working alongside your belief, something unstoppable and supernatural, divine favor that multiplies your every step beyond human logic. Let's uncover it now. Section 4. How God's favor multiplies your efforts. Chosen one. Faith sets the vision, but favor accelerates it. What takes others 10 years, favor accomplishes in 10 weeks. What should have been impossible suddenly becomes your normal. When God's hand is on your life, things move at a divine pace, and no earthly system can explain it. Favor is not fair. It bypasses protocols. It shifts outcomes. It puts your name in rooms you've never entered and places your idea in the minds of people you've never met. Favor is when your effort is multiplied by grace, not grit alone. Look at Ruth. She wasn't born into wealth. She was a widow from a foreign land walking behind harvesters in someone else's field. But her heart was aligned with God, and His favor directed her steps. One day of obedience led her to Boaz's field, and from there, she went from gathering leftovers to becoming the owner's wife, from picking up scraps to inheriting legacy. That's favor, not hustle, not strategy. Just divine timing and obedience collided. Think of Daniel. He was an exile in Babylon, a foreigner in a pagan land. But the Bible says God gave him knowledge and understanding of all kinds of literature and learning, Daniel chapter 17. And he rose to become one of the highest officials in the kingdom, not because he played politics, but because favor opened doors that credentials never could. Even today, the fingerprints of favor are everywhere. Consider the story of Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx. She started with $5,000, no formal business training, and was selling fax machines door to door. But she had a divine idea and a heart that believed it mattered. Despite countless rejections, the right person finally said yes, and Oprah featured her product. In a moment, everything changed. Within months, she was a millionaire. Today, she's a billionaire. That's what happens when favor touches your efforts. It moves you beyond what your resume can carry, and beyond what your bank account could ever explain. Chosen one. You're not meant to grind yourself into the ground. You're meant to walk in alignment so that your ideas carry the weight of heaven behind them. Favor is not earned, it's inherited. It's what comes with being chosen. It flows through obedience, humility, and trust. And here's the truth. If God gave you the vision, He has already assigned the favor to fund it. You don't have to beg. You don't have to prove yourself. You just have to align, believe, and move. Now that you understand the power of favor, it's time to talk about the bigger picture. Because this billionaire calling on your life isn't just about overflow for you, it's about who you're going to lift with it. Let's talk about your wealth as a weapon for impact. Section 5. Your wealth is a weapon for impact. Chosen one. Your billions are not just for luxury, they're for legacy. God isn't handing you this abundance so you can sit in silence. He's equipping you to become a financial warrior for heaven's agenda. Your wealth is not just provision, it's a weapon. A tool to break cycles, build futures, and bless generations. This is why the enemy fought your finances so fiercely, because he knew what would happen when you got access to divine wealth. He knew your billions wouldn't just change your life, they would set captives free. Wealth in the hands of the wicked multiplies corruption, but wealth in the hands of the righteous multiplies justice, healing, and truth. Think of Nehemiah. He wasn't a prophet or a priest. He was a cupbearer, a government worker with access. But when he saw that Jerusalem's walls were broken, he didn't just pray, he acted. God gave him favor with the king, provision for resources, and the strategy to rebuild an entire city. His access became his assignment. That's your story too. God isn't giving you wealth just to prove something. He's giving you wealth to repair something, to restore what's broken in your community, your family, your generation. Consider Lydia in the New Testament. She was a businesswoman, a seller of purple cloth, which was a luxury item. But what did she do with her wealth? She opened her home to Paul and the early church. Her business became a ministry. Her prosperity became a place of refuge and revival. Even today, God is raising up Lydia's entrepreneurs, creatives, innovators, people who can move resources and hearts at the same time. Take a look at Tyler Perry. Raised in poverty, he endured abuse and rejection, yet held on to a vision that seemed ridiculous to the world. He started out writing plays in small theaters where only a handful showed up, but he didn't stop. Today, he owns one of the largest studios in the world and constantly uses his platform to empower, hire, and uplift others. That's wealth as a weapon. It builds while others tear down. It plants while others destroy. Chosen one, your hands are not being filled for personal gain alone. God is entrusting you with divine capital so you can fund kingdom initiatives, support single mothers, launch scholarships, rebuild broken systems, and answer prayers. People haven't even spoken aloud yet. You are heaven's distribution center. The flow comes to you, but it's meant to flow through you. And the more you give, the more heaven releases. You don't lose by giving. You multiply. But here's what you must understand next. Once you start rising, once your light begins to shine, not everyone will celebrate. In fact, resistance will try to meet you at every new level. Let's talk about how to stay grounded and focused when favor makes you a target. Section 6. When favor makes you a target. Chosen one. Elevation attracts attention, and not all of it will be applause. When you rise, when you step into favor and wealth and purpose, expect resistance. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're finally doing something right. The moment your light starts shining brighter, darkness takes notice. Envy will whisper. Accusations may rise. Old circles might fall away. But this isn't the time to shrink. It's the time to stand. Look at Jesus, loved by multitudes, yet betrayed by one of his own. He healed the sick, raised the dead, and walked in pure love. Yet the moment his influence threatened the status quo, opposition rose. Favor did not protect him from betrayal, but betrayal could not stop his mission. You may feel misunderstood in this season. People might question why you talk differently, walk differently, dream bigger. Some will assume arrogance when it's actually anointing. That's the cost of divine favor. But chosen one, don't let their misunderstanding become your muzzle. Joseph is another example. After being elevated to power in Egypt, he didn't get instant celebration. His own brothers, the ones who betrayed him, had to face the reality that God's hand was truly on him. But instead of seeking revenge, Joseph wept. Because when you know who you are, you don't fight back. You rise above. In real life, consider Tabitha Brown. She was just a woman sharing vegan recipes from her kitchen. But her kindness, her message of faith, and her unique light caught the world's attention. And with it came critics, mockers, and doubters. Still, she didn't fight for approval. She stayed rooted in purpose. Today, she's built an empire on peace, joy, and faith. You don't need to respond to every insult. You don't need to convince people who are committed to misunderstanding you. When God elevates you, let him defend you. His favor is your shield, and his timing is your proof. Even David had to learn this. When Saul grew jealous and tried to kill him, David had multiple chances to retaliate, but he refused. He said, "I will not touch the Lord's anointed," and that patience allowed God to vindicate him in full. Chosen one. The resistance isn't your enemy, it's your confirmation. If they're talking, it means you've shifted. If they're watching, it means you're rising. The attacks are loud, but your purpose is louder. Let them talk. Let them guess. Let them doubt. You just keep building, keep obeying, keep walking in the favor that no man gave and no man can take. Because now something divine is accelerating. You've been faithful, you've endured pressure, and heaven is about to move faster than you ever imagined. Let's talk about how God's timing is shifting everything in your favor. Suddenly. Section 7. When God moves suddenly. Chosen one. Divine timing doesn't move like a clock. It moves like a wave. Quiet for a season. Then suddenly everything shifts. The breakthroughs that felt delayed, they rush in all at once. The doors that stayed closed, They swing open faster than you can process. That's how God moves suddenly. You may have walked through years of waiting, silence, obscurity, but those were not wasted seasons. They were sacred. God wasn't ignoring you, He was preparing you. Because when heaven accelerates a calling, the foundation must be deep enough to handle the overflow. Look at Moses. He spent 40 years in the wilderness tending sheep. Forgotten by Pharaoh's court, unnoticed by the world. Then suddenly a burning bush, a call from heaven. And in days he stood before kings and led a nation out of bondage. It happened fast, but his character was shaped slowly. That's the rhythm of God. Slow growth, then swift elevation. One moment, you're hidden, the next, you're leading movements. One moment, you're questioning your purpose. The next, you're signing contracts, launching visions, funding ministries. In today's world, think of Tyler Perry before his fame. For years, he staged plays to nearly empty theaters. He lived in his car. People mocked his dreams, but he kept writing, kept showing up. Then suddenly, one production hit, and everything changed. In weeks, he went from overlooked to owning one of the largest production studios in the country. That's divine acceleration. Even the apostles lived this. Look at Peter. One night he was fishing in frustration, catching nothing. But Jesus stepped into his boat, gave one instruction, and suddenly the nets were overflowing, so much abundance they couldn't contain it. That's what happens when Jesus steps into your efforts. Chosen one. Your suddenly is closer than you think. You don't have to manipulate it. You don't have to chase it. You just have to stay faithful until it hits. Because it's already been scheduled by heaven. You may not know the hour, but heaven does. And when it comes, it will come fast. One email, one divine encounter. One yes from the right person, and the trajectory of your life changes forever. Don't despise the slow days. They are sacred. They are necessary. But keep your spirit expectant, because when it hits, it won't be a drizzle. It'll be a flood. And now that the momentum has begun, you must understand what to do with it. How to build something that doesn't just bless you for a moment, but lasts for generations. Let's talk about your legacy. Your billionaire calling is about to echo through time. The billionaire anointing has begun. Chosen one, take a breath and let this truth settle deep into your soul. You were chosen for this, not because you begged for it, not because you earned it, but because heaven saw something in you that the world couldn't. You've walked through the fire. You've endured the silence. You've battled doubt in secret places. And now the reward is here. Not just wealth in numbers, but wealth in wisdom, clarity, peace, and purpose. This is more than a message. This is your commissioning. God didn't call you to billions for ego. He called you to billions for impact. Your wealth will be an answer to someone else's prayer. Your abundance will become a river of healing opportunity and legacy. The ideas, the dreams, the whispers you've carried for years. This is your permission to move. You don't need another sign. This was it. The confirmation your spirit's been crying out for. Heaven is aligned. The favor is flowing. The billions are moving, and the shift has already begun. Now let your voice rise with boldness. Drop 707 in the comments as a declaration that you're claiming what's already yours. Smash that like button to seal this energy. And if this message spoke to the depths of your soul, subscribe now, because this is only the beginning of your billionaire journey. We're building a family of chosen ones, a global movement of believers who refuse to play small, who refuse to live in lack, and who are rising boldly into divine overflow. Chosen one, walk differently now. Speak with authority. Move with conviction. You are not becoming, you already are. A billionaire by God's design, a vessel of divine power, a force that cannot be stopped. The world may not understand it yet, but heaven is already applauding. And now it's your turn to walk it out. Go build, bless, shine. Your billions are waiting. Your destiny has arrived.